The shuttle glided through the atmosphere of Thrax 7, leaving the green jungle moon behind. The sky turned black as they entered space, stars spreading like silver dust. Inside the ship, the alien cadets sat quietly, still trying to understand what had just happened. No one spoke for several minutes. The hum of the engines was the only sound. Evan sat near the window, resting his head against the seat, watching the stars go by. His uniform was still covered in dirt, and his hair was a mess. But he looked calm, almost peaceful. Sral finally broke the silence. "You didn't kill the creature." Evan didn't turn around. "Nope, you were supposed to." Evan smiled faintly. "I was supposed to complete the mission." "I did." Sral crossed his arms. "You disobeyed orders." "Maybe," Evan said, "but if I followed them, none of us would have made it back." Kelna, the tall avian cadet, looked from one to the other. "The creature could have destroyed us, but it didn't. It bowed to you, human." "That's something I've never seen." Evan scratched the back of his head. "Yeah, that was weird, huh? Maybe it just liked my face." Tiri laughed softly, shaking her head. "You joke even after facing death." Evan grinned. "Humans have a saying, if you can still laugh, you're still alive." As the shuttle approached the Galactic Cadet Academy, the huge silver structure grew larger until it filled the entire window. Dozens of training ships circled it. The Academy's defense lights blinked like blue stars. "Prepare for docking," the pilot announced. When the ship landed, Commander Thraken was already waiting on the platform, his forearms crossed. His eyes narrowed as the cadets stepped out. Sral walked forward and saluted sharply. "Mission complete, Commander." Thrakun's deep voice rumbled. "Report." Sral hesitated. His pride fought against the truth. "We located the Thraxian Devourer, sir, and it was neutralized," he said carefully, "but not in the usual way." Thraken's eyes moved toward Evan. "Explain, human." Evan shrugged slightly. "It was hurt, sir. A metal shard in its leg. I removed it. After that, it stopped attacking and left peacefully." Thraken's eyes glowed with disbelief. "You helped it?" "Yes, sir. You were sent to eliminate the threat." "I didn't see a threat," Evan said calmly. "I saw a creature in pain." The commander's heavy footsteps echoed as he walked closer. "Do you know how many soldiers died trying to fight that beast?" "Yes, sir." I read the reports. "And yet, Ewelon decided to ignore every rule and heal it." Evan nodded slowly. "Yes, sir." Thraken stared at him for a long moment, then turned away. "You are either very foolish or very brave." Evan smiled. "Maybe both, sir." Later in the debriefing hall, the squad presented their mission recordings. The footage showed the team approaching the cave, Evan working quietly beside the massive creature, and the moment it bowed before leaving, the entire room of instructors and cadets watched in stunned silence. An insectoid officer clicked his mandibles. "Impossible. That species has never shown signs of intelligence or restraint." A reptilian teacher muttered. It bowed. "That's a gesture of submission, or respect." Thraken folded his arms. "This footage will be studied carefully. Until then, Cadet Carter, you are restricted from further missions." Evan tilted his head. "Restricted? You broke procedure." "Save lives too," Evan said under his breath. Thraken's eyes glimmered. "And for that, you are lucky I'm not sending you back to Earth." That evening, the cadets sat in the mess hall, silent again. The room was full of alien chatter from other squads. But everyone kept glancing at Evan's table. He sat there eating something simple, a ration bar and juice, while Sral and the others joined him. Sral finally sighed. "You made us look foolish." Evan looked up, chewing slowly. "How so?" "We trained for months to destroy dangerous targets. You walked in and solved it with kindness." Evan smiled softly. "That's not foolish. That's just another way of fighting." Kelna tapped the table with her claw. "Commander Thraken might punish us." "Maybe," Evan said. "But I'd rather be punished for doing the right thing than praised for the wrong one." For a moment, even the proud Sral couldn't argue. Tiri spoke quietly, her telepathic tone gentle. "You saw something we didn't. You understood the creature's feelings. Evan shrugged. Back on Earth, we learned that not every big scary thing wants to hurt you. Sometimes it's just afraid. Later that night, the Academy's data division analyzed the scans from the mission. The results shocked everyone. The energy readings from the beast showed signs of complex brain activity, problem solving, pattern recognition, even empathy. The scientists couldn't believe it. The creature wasn't a wild monster. It was intelligent. Commander Thraken called an emergency meeting. This changes everything, said one of the science officers. If the human is correct, the Thraxian species might be more advanced than we thought. Thraken frowned deeply. And the only one who realized that was the one we doubted the most. He watched the recording again, the human kneeling beside the creature, removing the shards without fear. There was no aggression, no hesitation, only understanding. Thraken whispered to himself, "What are you, human?" The next morning, an announcement echoed through the Academy halls. All cadets report to the Central Plaza. Commander Thraken will address the Academy. Evan and his squad stood in the crowd as the massive holographic screen activated. Thraken's stern face appeared. Yesterday, a cadet squad completed a dangerous mission on Thrax 7, he began. The mission was unconventional, but it has revealed new information about one of the galaxy's most feared creatures. He paused, his eyes scanning the audience. For the first time in Academy history, the Thraxian Devourer showed restraint and intelligence. This discovery was made possible by Cadet Evan Carter of Earth. Gasps filled the plaza. Evan blinked in surprise. He hadn't expected this, Thraken continued. His methods were unorthodox and disobedient, yet they achieved something our weapons never could: peace. The Galactic Cadet Academy recognizes that not all victories are won by strength. Sometimes they are won by understanding. The crowd broke into murmurs and then applause. The sound echoed across the hall, strange but sincere. Evan scratched the back of his head, embarrassed. "Well," he muttered, "that's new." Tiri smiled beside him. "You're famous now." Sral grinned slightly. "Don't let it go to your head, human," Ivan chuckled. Too late. That night, the stars shone bright above the Academy domes. Evan sat on the balcony, looking out at the endless sky. Tiri joined him quietly. "You changed something," she said. "Maybe," Evan replied. "Or maybe the galaxy just needed a reminder that monsters aren't always monsters." She tilted her head. "You could have died," Evan smiled. "Yeah, but so could it. I guess we both took a chance." Silence followed, peaceful and calm. The wind carried the faint hum of ships, leaving for missions. Finally, Tiri asked, "What will you do next?" Evan leaned back, arms behind his head. "Same thing humans always do when people start noticing them find trouble." Tiri laughed softly. "I believe you." Inside the Academy's command center, Commander Thraken watched the stars from his window. His assistant approached. "Sir, do you still believe the humans' methods are dangerous?" Thraken didn't answer for a while. Then he said, "Dangerous? Yes, but not in the way we thought. He's dangerous because he makes others question what they believe." The assistant nodded slowly. "Should we monitor him?" Thraken smiled faintly. "No, just watch and learn. The galaxy has much to learn from Earth." Outside, the stars shimmered, and somewhere far away, the Thraxian Devourer roared softly into the night, not with anger, but as a call of peace. And Evan Carter, the human who came back scratching his head, had unknowingly started something much bigger than anyone could imagine. The morning at the Galactic Cadet Academy was unusually quiet. Cadets walked in orderly lines, but many eyes were secretly on Evan Carter. The human who had changed their perception of danger forever, Commander Thraken, appeared in the main hall. Towering and commanding, his forearms folded across his chest. "Cadets," he began, "you will be deployed on a follow-up mission to Thrax 7. The Thraxian Devourer has returned to the same territory. Sensors suggest it may be protecting its young. We do not know its intentions." A murmur swept through the crowd. Protecting young? That meant the creature had a family. And it meant the mission could be far more dangerous than before? Thraken's gaze swept the room, and landed on Evan. Cadet Carter, your methods were unusual but effective. You will lead your squad on this mission. Evan raised an eyebrow. Led. Yes, this mission requires understanding, not just firepower. Use your judgment wisely. Thrall groaned audibly behind him. I thought we were trained to use weapons, Evan smiled. We are? But sometimes brains win where weapons fail. The squad prepared their gear carefully. This time, everyone carried survival packs, scanners, and communication devices. Plasma rifles were secondary, only to be used if absolutely necessary. Kelna spoke first. So we're going back to the jungle? To meet the family? Evan nodded. Yes, and we're going to try something different. We'll observe first, not attack. Tiri floated near him, her eyes glowing faintly. Do you trust it? Evan shrugged. I trust that if we show respect, it will respond in kind. Just like last time, Rook beeped. Sensors confirm that the creature's patterns are irregular. Any misstep could trigger aggression. Evan grinned. That's why we pay attention. The shuttle left the academy and jumped into hyperspace. Hours later, Thrax 7's jungle stretched beneath them, thick and dangerous. Mist hung over the treetops, and the occasional roar echoed faintly through the valley. All right, team, Evan said, checking his scanner. We need to find the young first. The Devourer isn't alone, and we don't want to surprise it, Thrall muttered. You're taking a huge risk, human. Evan shrugged. Sometimes, risk is the only way to learn. They landed in a small clearing. The forest seemed alive, breathing with the movement of unknown creatures. Leaves rustled, birds flew away, and the smell of wet soil filled the air. Kelna frowned. It feels different, tense. Evan nodded. That's because there's a family here. Parents are protective. The squad moved carefully through the forest, scanning for movement. Evan led the way, crouched and quiet, eyes scanning for subtle signs. Broken branches, claw marks, even shifted stones. Every detail mattered. After some time, they discovered a shallow cave partially hidden behind thick vines. Small, clawed footprints surrounded the entrance, much smaller than the adult devourers. Tiri whispered, young ones. They're here. Evan nodded, crouching beside the tracks. Exactly. And the adult is nearby, watching. We need to approach slowly and calmly. Thrall hissed softly. Approach. Are you crazy? Evan smiled. Not with weapons. With patience. For the next hour, the team observed. The Devourer appeared from the shadows, towering and majestic, its red eyes glowing in the dim light. Behind it were three smaller creatures, its young moving awkwardly on thick, scaled legs. The squad froze. The adult's eyes shifted toward them. Evan slowly raised a hand in a gesture of peace. The Devourer growled low, but it didn't advance. It was cautious, not attacking. Evan whispered, See? It's scared, not angry. Treat it like that. Thrall shook his head. I can't believe this is working, Evan shrugged. Believe it. Observe it. Sometimes patience is stronger than any weapon. Hours passed. The squad set up a small observation camp near the cave, hiding but monitoring. The young Devourers explored the clearing, learning to hunt and play. The adults stayed close, watching them carefully, scanning for threats. Evan watched them with fascination. They're clever, he said softly, and they're learning quickly. The way they interact shows memory and strategy. Tiri floated closer. I didn't expect it to be this intelligent. Evan smiled. That's why humans don't just attack. We think, observe, and adapt. Sometimes it's not about fighting, it's about understanding. Thrall's tail twitched. I'm still not used to this. Back home, we would have fired immediately. Nodded. I know, but it's working. Even Rook's sensors detected a calming effect. Biometric readings indicate the adult Devourer's stress levels are decreasing. Presence of Cadet Carter correlates with lowered aggression. Evan chuckled. So they like me. Suddenly, the young devourers began to scatter. A distant rumble shook the ground. The adult devourer's eyes widened, and it let out a deafening roar. Trees cracked, and leaves flew in every direction. Evan whispered urgently, "Everyone stay calm. Don't panic. Let's see what's happening." From the trees emerged another predator, smaller, faster, and hostile. It had been tracking the young devourers ready to attack. Sral raised his plasma rifle instinctively. "We have to fight." Evan held up a hand. "Wait. Watch carefully." The adult devourer charged. But instead of attacking the team, it confronted the intruder with sheer presence. Its roar echoed, shaking the forest, and the intruder hesitated. Then the devourer moved strategically, herding the intruder away without striking the cadets. Kelnog gasped. "It's protecting its young, but not attacking us." Ivan nodded. "Exactly. It's smart. It knows the difference between threat and observer." The intruder finally fled, chased away by the adult. The young ones huddled close, and the forest slowly calmed again. Evan turned to his squad. "See what I mean? Understanding and patience work better than force. Sometimes we just need to be smart." Shrall lowered his weapon reluctantly. "I can't believe it. You're right." Tiri floated beside him. "This is incredible. We're witnessing intelligence in a species thought to be purely destructive." Rook's sensors clicked. Biometric analysis confirms rapid adaptation and strategic thinking. This species is far more capable than recorded. Evan smiled. "And that's why humans never assume. We watch, we learn, we adapt, even in the face of fear." The mission continued for the next few days. The squad observed, documented, and even left small food supplies for the young devourers to encourage trust. They mapped their territory and learned their habits without ever firing a weapon. The alien cadets slowly began to admire the human. Sral admitted quietly, "You think differently, but it works." Kelna nodded. "You have a gift, human. A way to see life that we don't." Evan laughed softly. "It's just paying attention. That's all." Even the adult devourer grew comfortable with their presence, approaching cautiously to observe them. Evan would crouch, mimicking its posture, and slowly extend a hand. Over time, the creature accepted his gestures. It was a slow, tense, but extraordinary lesson in trust. Finally, the team prepared to return to the academy. They had collected detailed data, images, and behavioral records. The devourer and its young didn't attack. They simply watched as the cadets departed. Evan whispered, "Remember this. Trust works both ways. Respect the unknown, and it might respect you back." As the shuttle lifted off, the jungle of Thrax 7 disappeared below them. The cadets looked at Evan with newfound respect. Sral muttered, "I won't admit it in public. But humans aren't as weak as I thought." Tiri smiled. "They're extraordinary." Kelna laughed softly, "and somehow calm when everything else is chaos." Evan leaned back, scratched his head, and said quietly, "Just another day in the life of a human." Back at the academy, Commander Thraken waited. The squad reported their findings. The footage, scans, and observations were unprecedented. Thraken's voice rumbled through the hall. "This mission proves something important. Strength is not always in weapons. Sometimes intelligence, patience, and understanding are far more powerful. Cadet Carter, your leadership has shown that humanity has a place in the galaxy, not just to fight, but to guide." Evan smiled faintly. "Glad I could help, sir." The alien cadets looked at him in awe. Their respect had grown beyond the battlefield. That night, stars twinkled above the academy. Evan sat quietly on the balcony, watching the galaxy stretch endlessly. Somewhere far away, the devourer and its young roamed freely, peaceful and safe. Evan whispered to himself, "Sometimes the greatest battles aren't fought with fire. They're fought with patience, trust, and a little bit of understanding." And the galaxy was beginning to take notice. The Galactic Cadet Academy buzzed with anticipation. After the successful observation mission on Thrax 7, the squad led by Evan Carter had earned respect, not only from their instructors, but from cadets across the galaxy. Yet, the true test was still ahead. Commander Thraken summoned Evan and his squad to the central strategy room. His massive arms were folded as his glowing eyes scanned each cadet carefully. Cadets. He began. The Thraxian Devourer's territory is no longer isolated. A mining corporation from the outer systems has illegally entered the moon's jungles. They are attempting to harvest rare crystals that disrupt the Devourer's habitat. This creates danger for the creatures and the ecosystem. Your mission: prevent human and alien miners from harming the Devourers or their young. You may not harm the creatures under any circumstances. Srala's jaw tightened. You want us to stop miners? Without weapons? Evan grinned. Exactly. Time to see if patience and understanding work again, Thraken's deep voice rumbled. You have 72 hours. Failure will result in full containment of the mining forces, but at a potential cost. Your judgment must prevail, Evan nodded. Understood. The shuttle lifted off the Academy's landing bay, carrying the cadets toward Thrax 7 once more. This time, the tension was different. They weren't tracking a single beast. They were negotiating with intruders who might not understand or care about the Devourers. The jungle stretched. Beneath them, dark and dense, the hum of wildlife filled the air as the team prepared for a careful descent. Evan briefed his squad quietly. Step 1. Locate the miners without alarming them. Step 2. Observe the Devourers. Step 3. Find a way to persuade the miners to leave. Kelna tilted her head. You really think talking will work? Evan smiled faintly. It worked with the Devourer. Let's see if humans listen to humans first. They landed near the mining site, hidden by a ridge overlooking the clearing. A fleet of drones hovered over the jungle, scanning for crystal deposits. A group of human miners moved cautiously, carrying equipment designed to cut through the jungle quickly. Rook's scanners buzzed. They are not hostile yet, but intrusion patterns are aggressive. Sroll hissed. We need to stop them before they anger the Devourers. Evan nodded. Exactly. But we don't attack. We negotiate first. The adult Devourer appeared at the edge of the clearing, its massive body looming. Its young stayed close, curious but cautious. The cadets froze. Evan whispered, See? They know we mean no harm. Let's do the same with the miners. Evan stepped forward, hands raised in a universal gesture of peace. The miners paused, startled. Stop. Evan called, his voice calm but commanding. You're in dangerous territory. These creatures are intelligent and protective of their young. The miners looked at each other. One spoke hesitantly. We didn't know. We were just harvesting crystals. Evan nodded. I understand. But if you continue, you risk serious harm not only to yourself, but to the Devourers. Kelna watched nervously. You really think this will work? Evan shrugged. It's worth trying. The Devourer stepped slightly forward, letting the miners see its size and power. The creatures were not aggressive yet, just a silent warning. Hours passed in tense negotiation. The miners argued about contracts and profits. The cadets remained patient, explaining the consequences of harming the creatures and the ecosystem. Evan spoke calmly, reasoning with logic and empathy. Finally, a miner lowered his tool. We didn't realize. We won't touch the crystals. We'll leave immediately, Evan smiled. Thank you. That's the right choice. The adult Devourer watched silently, its glowing eyes scanning the humans. Slowly, it lowered its massive head, almost as if acknowledging the humans' wisdom. The young creatures chirped softly and followed their parent deeper into the jungle. Sral exhaled, relief washing over him. I can't believe it. You actually talked them down, Evan shrugged. Words can be powerful too. Sometimes more than weapons, Rook beeped. Sensors confirm miners are retreating safely. No harm done. Harry's eyes glimmered. You did it again, human. You saved lives and prevented a conflict. But their mission wasn't over. As the miners left, a sudden quake shook the jungle. The ground split, revealing a hidden crevice. From inside, a smaller creature emerged, injured, frightened and clearly aggressive. Evan's team froze. The creature charged, roaring. Its young siblings were nowhere to be seen, and the adult devourer remained hidden in the trees. "Get back," Sral shouted. Evan stepped forward calmly. "Wait. Let's observe first." "It's scared, not angry," the creature hissed and lunged. Evan didn't run. Instead, he slowly extended a hand and spoke softly. "Easy. It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you." The small creature paused, eyeing him carefully. It had been separated from its family and was in pain. Evan quickly grabbed a medkit from his pack and applied a small healing device to the creature's injury. It flinched, but didn't strike. Minutes later, it calmed. Sral stared in disbelief. "You healed it again." Evan smiled. "Sometimes action, not violence, is the only way to win." The adult devourer returned, guiding the smaller creature and its siblings safely into the jungle. The squad followed at a distance, documenting everything. They had successfully prevented conflict, saved the devourers, and ensured the mining operation didn't harm the ecosystem. Back at the shuttle, the squad was silent. Even Sral, usually so proud and stubborn, seemed humbled. Kelna finally spoke. "You didn't just solve problems. You changed them," Evan shrugged. "I just did what needed to be done. Nothing more, nothing less." Rook beeped mechanically. "Analysis confirms that the devourer species now recognizes our squad as non-threatening." Behavioral adaptation noted. Tiri's eyes glimmered softly. "Humans really are extraordinary," Evan laughed lightly. "Maybe we're just lucky to notice what others overlook." Upon returning to the academy, Commander Thraken convened the final debriefing. The footage from the mission played on a massive holographic screen, the miners leaving the injured creature healed, and the devourer guiding its young safely through the jungle. Thraken's deep voice echoed in the hall. "This mission proves a vital lesson. Strength without understanding can destroy. Patience and intelligence can prevent conflict and preserve life. Cadet Carter, your leadership and judgment have proven invaluable. You have not only completed your mission, but elevated the standards of the Academy." The cadets watched in awe as the human shrugged modestly. "Glad I could help, sir." Sral leaned toward Kelna and whispered, "I'm never underestimating humans again." Kelna nodded. "They see things differently, and sometimes differently is better." That night, under the twin moons of the Academy planet, Evan stood on the balcony, looking at the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly before him. Somewhere far away, the devourers roamed freely, safe and unafraid. Tiri floated beside him. "You've done more than any cadet before. You've saved lives, prevented conflict, and shown that understanding can be more powerful than weapons." Evan shrugged, scratching his head. "I just did what felt right. The galaxy's full of big, scary things. Sometimes you just have to pay attention, be patient, and do what's right." Sral joined them quietly. "You've taught us a lot, even if I hate to admit it." Evan smiled faintly. "Good, that's the point." The Academy issued a new protocol: observe, understand, and negotiate before using force. Cadets from all species studied the missions of Evan Carter, realizing that the galaxy was more than battles and conquests. There was strategy, empathy, and patience, all as valuable as strength. The Devourers, once feared as unstoppable monsters, were now symbols of intelligence and trust, and the human who came back scratching his head had become a legend, not for his strength, but for his mind, his heart, and his unique way of seeing the universe as the stars twinkled above. Evan whispered to himself, "Sometimes the greatest victories aren't about winning battles. They're about making sure everyone, human, alien, or beast, comes out alive and respected." And in that moment, the galaxy seemed just a little brighter. The endless dark of space stretched around the dropship like a quiet sea. Inside, lights flickered over armored soldiers as they checked their weapons and oxygen suits. The mission was simpler, at least that was what their orders said. Land on the mining planet Tarsize 9. Locate the unknown energy source. Destroy the creature responsible for the disappearances. No survivors had ever returned to tell what they saw. The Galactic Council believed it to be a dangerous predator, something that could threaten nearby colonies. So, they sent their best, an elite strike team of humans and aliens, trained for extreme missions. Among them sat Captain Elias Ward, a human soldier with calm gray eyes and a quiet voice. He wasn't the loudest or the strongest, but others followed him because he always thought before acting. Unlike most soldiers who trusted orders without question, Elias trusted his own eyes first. The ship rattled as it entered the planet's atmosphere. The pilot's voice echoed through the comms. Approaching the surface. Storm level? High. Visibility poor. Lightning flashed through thick yellow clouds, lighting up the barren world below. Tarsiznan was dead. Its mines long abandoned after a mysterious incident years ago. Only dust storms and broken machines remained as they descended. The squad leader, Commander Rethver, a tall reptilian alien with emerald scales, turned to his team. Remember, this creature has already killed 5 Council scouts. We shoot on sight. No hesitation. Everyone nodded except Elias. He quietly adjusted his scanner and looked at the holographic map. The creature's energy signature wasn't consistent. It pulsed in slow, uneven waves. To him, it didn't look like a predator lying in wait. It looked like something hurt or afraid. The dropship landed with a hiss. The hatch opened, revealing a storm of dust. The team stepped out, weapons raised, lights cutting through the thick air. Broken mining towers loomed over them like ghosts. Rethvor signaled the group forward. Stay sharp. Movement ahead. 100 meters.
Ow.
They moved cautiously between shattered cargo containers and twisted metal beams. Every few steps, someone's boot crunched over debris. Then Elias noticed deep claw marks on a wall, long, uneven, and scattered. The pattern wasn't of an attack. It looked like the creature had been clawing at the walls, trying to get out, not to trap something in. He spoke into his comm. Commander, these marks don't match an ambush. It looks like it was focused on your sector, Captain, Rethver interrupted sharply. We are not here to study the creature. We're here to kill it. Elias bit back a sigh. He had been on missions like this before. Fear and misunderstanding created monsters out of the unknown. The team reached the entrance to the old reactor facility, the source of the strange energy readings. The heavy doors were bent inward as if something had forced its way through. Inside, it was dark and quiet, except for the steady hum of power still. Running through ancient cables, Elias's visor light swept across the floor. Scattered metal fragments, burnt wires, and black scorch marks covered the area. It looked like a battle had happened here long ago. Private Juno, a small insectoid alien, clicked nervously. This place feels wrong. I can feel it in my wings. Keep it together, Rethvar growled. Whatever's down here, we end it today. The deeper they went, the stronger the readings became. The air shimmered faintly with residual energy, making the walls glow faint blue. Then, as they reached a large circular chamber, the scanners began to distort. Signal interference, Elias muttered. Something's close. A low vibration filled the air, soft at first, then rising into a deep, rhythmic hum. The soldiers froze. From the shadows at the far end of the chamber, something massive moved at first. All they saw were glowing golden eyes, large, unblinking, watching them. Then the rest of it emerged, a towering figure of metal and living tissue, covered in scars and strange symbols. Its body pulsed with faint light, and small sparks crawled across its armor-like skin. Private Juno screamed, "Contact! Open fire!" Before Elias could stop them, the air exploded with plasma shots. The creature staggered back, roaring not in anger, but in pain. It raised its arms not to attack, but to shield itself. "Stop!" Elias shouted, stepping forward. "Cease fire." It's not fighting back. But the others didn't hear him more, didn't care. Rethver launched an explosive round that struck the creature's chest. The chamber filled with light and smoke. The shockwave threw Elias to the ground. His helmet cracked, alarms flashing red across his visor. When the smoke cleared, he saw the creature kneeling, clutching its chest. Its golden eyes met his for a single heartbeat. In that moment, Elias didn't see a monster. He saw fear. Before he could speak, the creature turned and crashed through a wall. Vanishing into the tunnels below, Rethfor cursed. "We're going after it. Move." Elias pushed himself up, pain shooting through his shoulder. "Commander, wait. It's running, not attacking. Look at the readings. The energy spike matches a defensive shield, not a weapon discharge." Rethfor glared at him. "You sound like you pity it, human. You forget what it's done." Elias didn't answer. He didn't believe the creature was the killer they thought it was. But he couldn't convince the others now. The chase began. The team followed the glowing trail of energy deeper into the ruins. The corridors grew narrower and darker, filled with the smell of ozone and rust. One by one, motion sensors flickered and died. Then, without warning, the floor collapsed. Elias and two others fell through into a lower level. His radio crackled static. The others were cut off. He groaned, pushing himself up from the dust. His flashlight flickered, revealing large circular markings on the walls, almost like murals. They showed the creature standing beside smaller figures, defending them from shadows. "Protect." "Children," Elias whispered, reading the ancient script etched beside the image. "You weren't a monster at all. Were you?" A faint sound echoed behind him, a low, uneven breathing. He turned, slowly yawned. There it was. The creature stood only a few meters away, wounded, energy leaking from its side like liquid light. It didn't move. It didn't growl. It just watched him. Elias raised his hands slowly, showing he wasn't a threat. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said softly. "Do you understand me?" The creature tilted its head, golden eyes blinking. A deep hum came from its chest, almost like a voice trying to form words. Elias took a cautious step forward. "You're hurt. Let me help." The hum grew louder for a moment, then softened. The creature lowered its head slightly, a sign of trust or exhaustion. Elias removed a field patch from his belt and pressed it against the glowing wound. The patch hissed as it sealed the energy leak. "There," Elias said quietly. "Better." For the first time, the creature made a sound that almost resembled speech, a soft, trembling tone, like a child whispering. Elias didn't understand the words, but the tone was clear. Gratitude. Above them, distant explosions echoed. The strike team was still hunting. The creature flinched at every sound, fear flashing in its eyes. Elias realized something. Then the council had created this war for misunderstanding. They saw danger where there was none. And now, if he didn't act fast, they would destroy something innocent. He spoke again, gently. "I'll get you out of here, but you have to trust me." The creature hesitated, then slowly extended a large metallic hand toward him. Its claws were sharp, but its touch was careful, almost delicate. Elias smiled faintly. "Good. We'll find a way." He looked up at the collapsed ceiling, where faint light filtered through the cracks. The mission had changed. He wasn't there to kill the creature anymore. He was there to save it. Outside, thunder rolled across the planet, and the storm began to rise again. The others would come soon. But for now, deep in the ruins of Tar Seasoning, a single human and a lonely creature stood together for the first time, not as enemies, but as two lost souls trying to survive a universe that feared what it didn't understand. The tunnels of Tar Seasoning were silent except for the distant rumble of the storm outside. The flickering light from Elias's helmet cast long shadows on the metallic walls as he and the wounded creature moved deeper underground. Elias's arm ached from the fall, but he kept walking, guiding the creature carefully through the dark corridors. The the being walked with heavy, uneven steps. Each movement made a soft, mechanical hum, like gears trying to synchronize after centuries of rest. He glanced at it again. It was enormous, almost 3 meters tall, with armored plates that shimmered faintly in the dim light. Beneath those plates, he could see living tissue, dark gray and threaded with glowing blue veins. The creature looked powerful, but also fragile, Elias whispered softly, as if speaking too loudly might break the fragile peace between them. "You can understand me, can't you?" The creature tilted its head slightly. Its golden eyes blinked once slowly, as if processing his words. Then It made a faint, low sound, like a note of music, deep and calm. Elias smiled faintly. That's a yes, I think. They reached a wide chamber where the ceiling had collapsed long ago. Rainwater dripped from above, forming a small, glowing pool where the liquid mixed with energy leaking from broken cables. The creature knelt down beside it and touched the water gently. For a moment, the blue light reflected in its eyes. Elias sat on a piece of metal beside it, removing his cracked helmet. His hair was damp with sweat and dust. He took a deep breath of the stale air and looked up at the creature. You know, they sent us here to destroy you, he said quietly. They think you're dangerous. The creature turned toward him. Its chest emitted a soft pulse of light, steady, like a heartbeat. Elias pointed at the glowing light and smiled. I don't think something with a heartbeat is just a weapon. The creature made another soft hum, this time higher in pitch, almost questioning. Elias reached into his pack and pulled out a small energy ration bar. He broke it in half, then held it up. Food, he said slowly, showing the piece, then pointed at himself. Human, eat. He placed the other half near the creature's feet. It looked at the piece curiously, sniffed it then, surprisingly absorbed it through a small opening in its hand. The light in its body flickered brighter. Elias laughed softly. Well, that worked better than I thought. For the first time, the creature made a sound that resembled a gentle rumble, a tone that might have been laughter in its own way. Far above them, the strike team continued their search. Commander Rethver stood at the edge of the crater where Elias had fallen. His communicator crackled. Commander, no sign of Captain Ward. No body either, came a voice over the radio. Rethver hissed in frustration. He's alive. The scanners showed 2 life forms moving below. He's with the creature. There was silence for a moment, then a cautious voice asked, You think he's turned? Rethver growled. I think he's made a mistake. Prepare the tracking drones. We'll find them both and finish this. Down in the tunnels, Elias was busy setting up a small signal jammer from his emergency kit. He knew the team would track his communicator soon. If they found him, they'd kill the creature without question. The creature watched him curiously, lilting its head at the glowing device. Elias pointed at it and said, Hide us. Then he mimed, covering his eyes. The creature nodded slowly, seeming to understand. It placed one large hand over the device and released a small pulse of energy. The jammer's range tripled instantly. Elias blinked. You enhanced it? You're full of surprises. The creature's chest lights flickered again softly, like it was proud of itself. Elias chuckled and leaned back against the wall. You really aren't what they think you are. For a while, they sat together in silence. The storm above roared like distant thunder. Elias stared at the faint symbols engraved on the creature's armor. Some looked like language ancient, curved lines that pulsed faintly when touched. He gently traced one with his gloved hand. Who made you? He murmured. The creature's eyes dimmed slightly. It lowered its head and pressed one hand to its chest. A faint holographic image appeared blurry, but clear enough for Elias to see shapes. Small alien figures stood beside a younger version of the creature. The figures were holding something small, fragile, maybe a child. Elias realized what it was showing him. You were built to protect them, he said softly. A guardian. The creature nodded slowly, and a low, sad tone escaped from deep within its chest. The hologram faded, leaving only silence between them. Elias's heart tightened, and they left you here. The creature didn't respond, but its body language said everything. Shoulders lowered, head bowed. Centuries of loneliness carried in one quiet movement. Elias sighed, rubbing a hand over his face. No one deserves that. Hours passed. The storm outside grew worse. Elias tried to rest, but the faint sound of mechanical footsteps echoed through the tunnels. He tensed. The creature immediately stood, alert, its golden eyes glowing brighter. Elias whispered, They found us. He grabbed his rifle not to fight, but to defend. The creature motioned for him to stay back. It crouched low and listened carefully. The heavy metallic sound of drones grew closer. In seconds, 3 council drones floated into view, scanning the area with red beams. The creature's body began to glow faintly as energy built up inside it. Elias could feel the static in the air. "No, wait," he whispered. "If you attack, they'll trace the energy signature." The creature paused, confused. Then Elias had an idea. He threw a flare toward the far tunnel. The red light burst, drawing the drone's sensors. They turned instantly and moved toward it. "Now," Elias whispered. The creature extended one arm and released a silent pulse of energy. The drones froze mid-air, lights flickering, and then dropped to the ground, deactivated. Elias stared. "You can disable tech without destroying it." The creature looked at him and gave a faint hum, almost like agreement. "Good job," Elias said with a grin. "Remind me never to play cards against you." For a brief moment it almost felt peaceful again. But Rethferez's voice suddenly broke through the communicator. "Captain Ward, I know you can hear me. Step away from the creature and signal your location." "That is an order." Elias froze. His communicator had a weak signal despite the jammer. He quickly turned the device off, but it was too late. The enemy knew roughly where they were. He looked at the creature. "We need to move." The creature nodded and followed him into the deeper tunnels. The passage narrowed until they reached an ancient maintenance shaft filled with glowing blue crystals. The crystals resonated softly, creating a calm humming sound. Elias stopped, catching his breath. "We'll rest here for a bit. They won't find us this deep." The creature sat across from him, studying him carefully. Then, slowly, it placed a clawed hand against its own chest and spoke a word, a short, clear sound. "Kale." Elias blinked. "Kale, that's your name?" The creature repeated it, pointing at itself. Kale. Elias smiled warmly. "Kale, I like that. My name is Elias," he pointed to himself. "Elias." Kale tried to repeat it, though the sound came out slightly distorted. "L. As." Elias laughed. "Close enough?" From that moment, something changed between them. The fear and confusion that had filled the air at first were replaced by quiet understanding. Two beings from different worlds, trapped underground. Both hunted by those who didn't understand them, but united by trust. Kale leaned against the tunnel wall, its eyes dimming as it entered rest mode. Elias sat beside it, staring at the shimmering crystals. He whispered softly, "They called you a monster. But maybe the real monsters are the ones who refuse to see the truth." He looked at Kale, who was breathing slowly, peacefully. "Don't worry. I'll find a way to protect you. Just like you protected your people once." The storm above rumbled again, shaking the ground slightly. Elias knew Rethfer wouldn't stop. The commander believed in orders more than reason. If the council wanted the creature gone, they would send everything they had. But Elias had made up his mind. He wouldn't let them destroy something innocent. For now, deep beneath the ruins of Tar Siznine, man and machine human and guardian rested side by side, unaware that their story was about to change the fate of the galaxy itself.